This is a routine for the puzzle game. It's to adjust the box sides for the game number. It starts out by resetting the probability distributions. Then it sets S to the game number. S is going to be used as the seed value for the probability distributions. Then it starts to make a frequency table for the first probability distribution it's going to use. It sets the first two values to 25, which says there are 25 possible different outcomes, and also there are only 25 outcomes altogether. Then, after those two values, it sets the frequency for each of the 25 possible outcomes. It says each can occur only one time. Then it goes into a for next loop where I is varied from 0 to 24. And it uses a probability distribution defined up here with a puck instruction, which is an action that picks one of the possible outcomes and they're unreplaced. That's what the U is going to stand for. They're unreplaced. So the first time it's going to say it's going to pick one of the 25 possible outcomes and put its value in the first position when I is 0. Well, the next time it goes around the loop and I is 1, there are only 24 possibilities left. So it picks one of the 24. And then the next time one of 23. To when it gets around when I is 24, there is only one left. So that gets to be the last piece number. Now, these piece numbers are used to place the pieces in a random order on the right side of the screen. As you know, they're all mixed up. They're not rotated, but they are mixed. Now, the next thing it's going to do is define this list called value, where the first value is going to be set to a -7, the next value to a -3, the next one to a +3, and the last one to a +7. And then it's going to set the value of M to how many values they are. 4. These values are going to be used to make the jagged edges along the sides of the pieces. Now we're going to make the jagged edges between boxes where the right side of one box is the left side of another box. So both X values for the boxes have to be changed. So the first thing it says here is it's going to change the value of F from 0, and it's going to go all the way up to the value of 600, changing it 150 at a time. So this loop over F is for each row. It's going to increase it by 150 each time it changes rows. Then it sets the value of J to 8 and the value of K to 52. The reason for this is index 8 is the right side of a box, and the adjacent box, it would be at index 52, and we have to change both. Then down here it says, well, when the row is changed, we have to add the value of F to that index. Remember, that's going to be 150 for the second row, and the same with the index for the other box. It will change by 150. Then we're going to go around a loop on L. L is going to go around 4 times, and that's because there is a left and right side from box 1 to box 2, box 2 to box 3, box 3 to box 4, and box 4 to box 5. 4 times on each row, we're going to have to vary the x values between two boxes. Well, now we're going to go around the loop that does that. For I of 1, next I 3, it's going to change the x values of for both boxes, but it's going to do it randomly. Here it has a PEC instruction, which is for a probability distribution, where the E in PEC stands for equally likely. There's 4 possibilities, and those possibilities are going to come from these values, where it was -7, -3, +3, +7. It's going to pick, or in this case, PEC, one of those values, and it's going to add it to the values on the right side of one box and then the left side of the adjacent box. And then it wants to do this 3 times. It's going to add 1 to the index of the one box, but the other box is going in the opposite directions in indices. So it subtracts 1 from it. And then here is where it goes 3 times. So 3 of the x values in these boxes are going to be changed. Both boxes have to be changed, because if the x value of the one on the right is changed, the one on the left has to be changed by the same amount. They're random so that the jagged edges aren't all going to be alike. Then once it's done the 3 of them, then it increases the j value by 27. It would have increased it by 30. Remember, the indexes change 30 as you're increasing to the right and going to the next box. However, it already increased the value of j by 3, so it increases it just by 27 to get to the next box. But the value of k had 3 subtracted from it. So instead of adding 30 to it, we're going to add 33 to it. Alright, so that when this ends, all the 4 values in the row have been changed. And then it changes rows by adding 150 to it. So when this is done, all the jagged edges that are sides, meaning the x values have to be changed, have been changed. Now I'm going to up the screen to look at the y values. Now we're going to make changes in y values to make the jagged edges between the bottom of one box and the top of another box. We're going to do this by columns, where the loop for F is going to change the column. Down here, F is going to be changed by 30 until it gets to 120. The first column starts 0, then it's 30, 60, 90, 120 for all 5 columns. So the value of F is the value saying what column you're in. Now the value of J, which is the index in the box above, will be index 16. But the box below it, which has its top, its value will be 152. Has to be over 150 because it's in the second row. So the bottom of one box index is 16, but the top of the other box is index 152. Next, they get adjusted by what column we're in. Remember, F changes the column. So it adds 0 or 30, 60, 90, 120 to the values of J and K. depending on which column it's doing. Then within each column there are going to be 4 possibilities. The possibility of the first box in the column against the second against the third against the fourth, and the fourth against the fifth. So it has to go around a loop 4 times. So L is a loop of 4 times. Well, now we get to the point where it's going to actually change the values. Here it's going to go around the loop I, for I to 3, 1 at a time. So it's going to go around 3 times, changing 3 of the Y values. Just like the X values, it picks a random value from 4 values. Remember, those values are -7, -3, +3, +7. It picks a random value and then makes a change both to the upper box and the lower box. Then the index of the upper box gets subtracted 1, where the index of the lower box has 1 added to it. They're changing in opposite directions. Now, when all 3 are done, then it drops down here and it says it's going to add 153 to J. Well, to go to another row, you normally would add 150, but it had subtracted 3 from J. We have to add that back plus the 150 change. Likewise, with the K, it already had 3 added to it, so we're not going to add 150 to it. We're going to add 147. All right, now once this is done for the 4 possibilities in the column and done for every column, all of the Y values have been changed to make jagged edges. That's the end of this routine.